There's been a very special human who has curated the talks and who has curated this festival. I have the pleasure of knowing her for a great many years. She used to live in Amsterdam. She now lives here in Barcelona, and she is a firecracker. She's a firecracker, and she really is an agent of change. I can hear her laughing in the corner. Also, she forgot the back of her jacket. Have a look at the design. She forgot the back of her jacket. She's this year's festival curator, and she's a creative, she's an entrepreneur, she's a founder, she's a speaker, and she is the driving force behind her own project, Amiga Hablemos de Plata. How did I do? Yeah. And that is a movement urging women to discuss money openly. It's about closing the gender gap when it comes to money and so many other important issues surrounding women and finance. Please take a look at that. Yes! Who did that? Do that again. Everybody do what she did. Yeah! Spain is signing up to your cause, Laura. Okay. You've heard enough from me. We're going to crack on. We're going to hear from the curator of this year's ADCE festival. Please make her feel very, very welcome. It's Laura Visco, everybody.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Oh my God. So, hey. Nice to see you again. I was in this very same stage a couple of years ago. I think it was 2019, something like that. I cried on stage. I hope that's not the case today again. But yeah, I don't know for sure. But thank you for having me. It was an amazing journey to create this festival and to be here today. Thank you, Merce, for the opportunity. And I'm going to tell you a little bit on the journey of creating this and also where I'm at. So it went a little bit like this. Laura, can you create the festival? Yes, but I just left advertising. Is that a problem? How does that work? So we discussed it many times, and yeah, it was actually good to have the perspective of someone that just literally after 20 plus years just left the industry and have my own take on what is needed, in these type of events. So yeah, you must be wondering why, right? Why, like more or less a year ago, I quitted my job after 20 plus years of experience and getting to the highest. To the top, and I have a few answers for that. We'll go through that, and then actually part of the creation of this festival is also part of that of that rationale. So yeah, in a way, I'm gonna run out of narratives to keep myself in the business. Like to a point, and maybe for some of you it's the same, like my view on the world was kind of an opposite for what I did for a living, and there was a point, that became like crashing all the time, to a point that I was like, okay, maybe I have to step back and just like leave space for other people. 20 years in a career, it's a lot. We'll come to that later. Every time I heard the Shakira song, I couldn't, stop thinking about the industry. If you know the song, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's still a men's world, and I'm super, super happy for everything I achieved, but also I feel like it's time, again, to leave space for the new generations. And something that nobody really tells you about inequality, and I know lots of you, this will resonate with lots of you, nobody really tells you that inequality is exhausting, and there's just a part of you that, becomes a little bit too tired for that. And then I really wanted to, decide, and figure out what growth meant for me a little bit beyond the confines of the industry, like the career that you picked out of school when you're 18 cannot be the same one maybe when you reach 40. You know, you're kind of a completely different person in a way. And I feel like it's about time also that we start normalizing, you know, that conversation too. You know, like leaving advertising is some sort of a taboo for a lot of people, and it shouldn't really be that way. Then I hit the FIRE number I needed. So FIRE is basically financial independence, retire early. So basically I don't have to kind of work anymore. I will come to that, and that's why I'm doing this project about women and money. I don't come from a wealthy family, so I kind of have to build everything from scratch. And one of the reasons actually I wanted to work in advertising was actually to you know, make some money. So once that was checked, yeah, it became quite apparent that I didn't want to do that anymore. And this is the most important thing, I think, for today. I wanted my voice to be mine, you know. And this became my guiding principle, you know, moving forward, but also it's a guiding principle for creating this festival. I want everyone that will come here to talk to you today to talk to you with their own voice, not with the company's voice, not with the brand's voice, from what they think they should be telling to you, person to person, human to human, no typical, you know, corporate talk, if that makes sense. And the reason why is like, as creatives, we cannot lend our voices to brands and agencies, but I think it gets to a point that you want your voice to, you know, be yours, you know. Our voices sometimes are like confined to a set of rules and a certain way of doing things, and you know, at some point, it will build its own ladder and its own stage for itself. It's a kind of a logical part of it. Truth is, when you start this career, you kind of hand it over a growth plan on how it's supposed to be, you know. As a woman, you're also handing over a growth plan, you know, being born a woman, but that's a different topic for a different talk altogether. But yeah, it looks pretty much like this. You know, this is how your career kind of needs to play out normally. And then it became quite evident to me that there was like lots of C's, but not a lot of creativity at the end. You know, the higher you go, you kind of become a glorified HR person, to be honest. And the only way up, you know, is piling titles and certain experiences that maybe, you know, they don't have, you know, a lot to do with you anymore. And I think in my case, it kind of moved me away from what I got in advertising in the first place, that is to be disruptive, to create conversations. But as creatives, you know, it's a great career, right? It's like so difficult to get out of the Adland Truman Show we got ourselves in. You know, we kind of feel trapped in this sort of status and recognition that at some point it doesn't serve to you as a person anymore. And then you actually understand that recognition comes from within, you know, and that was also my push for this festival today. Things that come from within and not from the outside. The outside, it's questionable in that sense. That's also why I wanted to push everyone today to talk with that truth that they have to say from within, not, you know, what the outside world is expecting them to say. So you must be wondering, what on earth am I doing now, right? After all of this. And in a way, it's the toughest brief you have to solve. It's like, okay, I have all the freedom in the world, and my voice is mine. How do I use it, you know? Because we complain a lot, right, as creatives, but then when you actually have all the freedom, you get like paralyzed. You don't know what to do. And then I realized I kind of have to go back at the very beginning. You know, I started working in advertising because I didn't have money. I don't know how to write. You know, basically those were my two guiding principles, and then I realized, okay, I actually have to become quite good with money because you know, lots of issues in my family and in my home country, Argentina, which is like quite fucked up financially always. So I was like, okay, I have something that in terms of communication, I can actually help a lot of women to achieve. I think the world will be better and different if more women have access to actually understanding the financial world, because it kind of feels very tough and difficult for us to understand, because I mean it was built without us, in it. So that's why I created Amiga Hablemos de Plata, which is Girl, Let's Talk About Money. And my mission is to get women to know everything I had to went through on my way to financial independence. So yeah, a community that seeks to debunk all the myths of women and money. Yeah. Now, obviously making it like super approachable, like a friend is talking to you. I don't have the typical jargon that financial people have, because I mean I have to learn everything from scratch. So I talk about it in a very like friendly way. Now it's a newsletter and an Instagram community. Please follow me. Shameless plug here. There's a book coming in March. In Spanish for now, but at some point I will translate it to English. Also, the reason why I wanted to do it in Spanish is like to defy how Anglocentric all the content is. I know I have a very culturally diverse crowd here today, and I really, really, really want to encourage you to create content in your own native language. Don't think that because it doesn't happen in English, it's like it doesn't exist. We need to start created original content in our language. Is super, super, super important. But why am I doing this project? It's still a huge taboo, to the point that 61% of women say they would rather discuss their own death than money. Due to cultural constraints and how we've been raised, this conversation is impossible. I know you're laughing. I know it's true. And I know this is actually making a lot of people uncomfortable right now in the audience. But why this happens? Because, this has all been built without us, Like, we weren't allowed to have property because we were property. We belong to someone, right? We weren't allowed to trade until the 70s. We weren't allowed to even have a bank account without the man signing for us at the bank until the 70s. That's my mom. My mom never had a bank account, for instance. That's why she teach me lots of cooking recipes, but not the formula on how to make money, right? So this is like, centuries of programmed financial exclusion that now we need to start fighting. So, the money starts changing hands. And the thing is, this obviously ends on the biggest gap. We always talk about different gaps, like gender pay gap. We never really talk, about the wealth gap that is huge. Yes, I need water. I'm talking too much, sorry. Sorry about that. Never really discussed this in this. Not sure what's going on with me today, sorry. I'm not crying, but now I'm like choking. I don't know what's going on. So something that really puzzles me is like how we're not talking about this day and night. It's 4 times the economy of the United States. The wealth gap between men and women is crazy, and we need to start discussing it. So it went really well. Have only 1 week, I have 1,000 subscriptions in the newsletter. 50 countries are following me, mostly Hispanic. Lots of love of like real women. These are all real stats, not made for the case study. So yeah, I'm wrapping up. Are you actually telling me that you left a 6-figure a salary C-level job to write a newsletter at home? And I said, yes. And I've never been happier because growth is personal. And my push for you is forget about everything you've been told about how to grow in your career. Find whatever makes sense to you and find your voice. Take care of it, nurture it. And as I told every speaker today, if your voice was uniquely yours, and not from a company, not from an agency, what would you talk about? And that's also the question I want to pose to you. We're going to see today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura. I want to talk about death and money.